Welcome to Syntax. Today, we're going to be talking about authentication and authorization and different platforms, but mostly my new favorite platform for doing auth on the web. And I will say, CJ is going to be doing a deeper explainer video on this. So if you're the type of person who watches this and is like, I got to see more code and how to use this, just check back on the channel. CJ is going to be doing a video using better auth here. So I will say, that I personally have a long history with Auth, and we will get into that in just a little bit. My name is Scott Tolinsky. I'm a developer from Denver. With me, as always, is Wes Boss. What's up, Wes?
Oh, no, excited to hear about this. I have not dipped into it yet, so I've got lots of questions for you.
Yeah, man, I'm all hopped up on a steroid. I'm on a prednisone or something, so I got a lot of energy today.
Oh, I can't go in the Olympics now.
No, yes, right. No, not that kind of steroid. I don't think it's an inflammation steroid. So let me tell you, my history with Auth is I frequently rolled my own Auth. I wrote my own Auth for level up tutorials because in the initial time that the platform was built, it was built in Meteor. And when I moved it to React and just React and my own database, Mongo, I was like, oh, shoot. I was using Meteor's Auth. So now I got to build an Auth that's similar to Meteor's, but my own. So I rolled my own. I built it from scratch. And it wasn't impossible. I learned a lot. Did it take more than a day? No, absolutely not. But did it take a lot of knowledge and requirements? Yeah. A lot of times people are like, don't even consider rolling your own Auth. It is a treacherous path of demons and it's not. You follow a few simple steps, you follow some best practices, bingo bango, you got an Auth. But the dialogue for me has changed a little bit in terms of what Auth actually is as the years have gone by. And that has led me to actually want to use other platforms for my Auth instead of rolling my own. We'll talk about that as we go. But if you chose to roll your own Auth, you're going to make sure you have some really good knowledge about how your site is working at all times. And to that, you need something like Sentry. Sentry.io/syntax is the best place to get total visibility into your site. And Sentry has a new feature called Seer, which allows you to get to the root cause of issues on your site quickly and easily using AI. And I gotta say, man, Sentry has done such a good job of being like, let's figure out how AI works inside of our application rather than Sentry as a whole as an application, rather than we'll just put a chatbot in the app, right? Because that's the solution that so many different companies come up with these days. Oh, you need AI, let's throw a chatbot in the app or an autocomplete or something like that. So Sentry has done such a good job experimenting, and I gotta say, this is just one of a handful of incredible tools that Sentry is constantly putting out. So check them out at Sentry.io. So, why has my thoughts on Auth changed over the years? Because, 10 years ago? 8 years ago? What was Auth, right? Auth, you might have had login with Google. You might have had login with GitHub if you're a developer. You had email and password. Mm-hmm. That was primarily the main. You had 2FA on some sites. And that 2FA could be text message. It could be your authenticator app or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
You didn't have passkeys. You didn't have enter your phone number and we'll send you a text message and now your account is tied to your phone number or whatever, like you do on TikTok or whatever. You didn't have that QR code sign in with your phone and now the TV app is then authenticated.
Yeah,
you had to type it all in.
I love that, by the way. Man, whenever I have to sign in to something and it says just pull your phone out and scan this code. Yes, no please.
Problem. Yeah. I got you. No problem. Yeah, I know. That's just such a quality of life
There's
thing.
So many things. And then when you get corporate, man, these OAuth integrations are unbelievable. Be it get to sign in with your corporate account, and Auth is a very, very complicated and deep well. And I don't envy anybody that has to work full-time on Auth, because that seems hard.
Yeah, it has only gotten harder and more complicated. And so what are your choices? Your choices are to, one, use a paid service. Like a paid service, there's several very popular paid services out there to do Auth that have been around for a while. You have like Auth 0 has been around for a while. They sponsored Syntax at some point. They're a very reliable application platform for
Clerk's
hosting
pretty
Auth.
popular right now as well.
Clerk is popular. The thing that I have a hold up with these is it's like, I like hosting my stuff. I like hosting my stuff where I host all my other stuff. I like it to be part of my database. I don't want to have to pay for a service. I don't want to have to rely on another server for my authentication system if my authentication system is a part of my like current site. I just don't want to have that. There's other ones. Lucia was a really popular one for a little bit of rolling your own auth. It's deprecated now. I always appreciated Lucia existing, but it still felt like you were doing a lot of work to get Auth going. It gave you some of the tools to get Auth going, but it was still like, I might as well just been rolling my own. And that's the balance I've always found to be a bit tenuous with some of these things. They're either not full-featured enough, or they're full-featured and you got to do everything yourself. And by that point, like, why am I even using this?
Yeah, it's like a little lower level. Like I use Passport.
Yes,
Passport on my website,
Classic.
But like I have to do all the JWT stuff myself and whatnot. And I'm sure that's changed since whenever I've actually implemented it. But yeah, it was more of a lower level primitive where you have to do all of the heavy lifting yourself.
Yes. Now we have some choices. Arctic. I'd never used or heard of Arctic until when I went to research this episode. So if you're using Arctic, let me know how you feel about it. There's a lot of providers here. It's an OAuth client. I've never seen it. The docs aesthetically don't give me the warm and fuzzies, but it exists and it was an option. OpenAuth from the folks who do SST. OpenAuth is great. This is basically a roll your own OAuth. Gives you a little OAuth server. You can sign in with all the different stuff. You can customize the UI a little bit. There's all these different OAuth providers. I like the idea of this. I never quite got it. I think I need to spend a little bit more time with it. If you're out there and you're using OpenAuth and really prefer it, yes, that sounds great. Let me know. But again, it feels like it's its own auth client that just kind of stands alone. It's its own thing, right? There's NextAuth, which I don't know if you know this, but NextAuth became auth.js. Or at least, yes, they have opened it up to be more than just Next.js. It works with all of the stuff. They have example apps with SvelteKit. This to me seems like a nice option. This is kind of interesting. Looking for a hosted alternative, use Clerk. You know, I don't have anything bad to say about Auth.js, but when I learned about Better Auth, this was the first auth platform for me that made me say, I gotta use this thing because it does everything. And it does absolutely everything, and it connects very well to the tools that you know and love. So when you get through it, like works with all your frameworks, multi-factor authentication, has support for OAuth or email and password, members and invitation, has a ton of plugins, works with all of the good stuff. And
built-in rate limiter. That's another thing I had to write myself as well. That's nice.
Yes. So when we go through this, I'll show you a little bit about what's so cool about this. But I spent some time this past week implementing both JWT-based auth flows as well as your standard session-based cookie auth flow with this using SvelteKit and Cloudflare workers and using D1. And it was really, really super painless, to the point where I was up and running in no time. I was trying to get a whole live store as another local first platform for that's a whole other topic, which we'll talk about some other time. And I hit some snags getting live store working in SvelteKit since there isn't an official implementation just yet. But I got this side of things up and running in no time. I was able to authenticate, log in, all that stuff.
So this is, to be clear, this is a package for when your server is in JavaScript, and they also provide client stuff when you want your UI to be in, I guess your UI is always in JavaScript.
Yeah, and I don't know specifically.
There's a Vue adapter, a Svelte adapter. solid, vanilla, and React.
Yeah. And so when I rolled mine, I did make the form myself, and I'm just submitting to an endpoint. And in that endpoint, I'm using auth.handler as like the endpoints, and that is handling all of the endpoints for me.
Do it yourself. Yeah. It looks like what they give you is just like sign in, sign up, and session functions.
Correct. And that's really how I prefer these things to be, personally, because I don't like it going off somewhere and opening on another window or something like that. I want my darn auth in my darn app, and I want to have control over the form. I want it to look like the rest of my app, and I want it to feel nice. In fact, it depends on what you need and want, right? So basically, yeah, you got all this dang stuff. There's a CLI to generate your migrations for you. And if you're using the Drizzle adapter, it generates the Drizzle schema, which then you can just use Drizzle's own migrations for you. If you're using Keasley, it works with all of the ORMs. So the CLI is really great. You just run a generate command and it gives you the migration files. Oh, man, there's just so many nice things here that in terms of like when you need to have a specific style of auth, it can handle it for you. Because some of these platforms are like, we do session-based auth and that's it. With this, it's like, if I want to do session-based auth, I got it. If I want to do JWT, like I said, I got it. If I want to connect it to my own database, I got it. There's no problems there. Or if I want to have a database just for auth, you can do that too. It even connects directly to email, and you can add email verification directly from BetterAuth, which is something when I was working on an email client for my platform drop-in, Wes, this was built into my Auth client because back in Meteor days, that was built in. And like all these, that like sending an email with authentication is something you always got to do. So like it makes so much sense to have email verification and all that stuff being a part. And it's really mostly just like the hooks, right? Because you're writing and bringing in your own email platforms, but it's creating the emails for you. You're creating the emails, but it's giving you those hooks to send the verifications.
Yeah.
And
it does all the
providing you with the
password
URL
reset tokens and expiring and all that. Yeah, see, I wrote all that myself as well.
Yes.
That's nice.
I've written two-factor auth myself. So I've done all of this stuff, rolled my own. And I got to say that it's so nice that it like, here's your token, here's your URL, send reset password, got to have it. And, it gives you hooks for everything. It lets you tap in here if you want to tap in. There's plugins to add in a whole plugin system, which we'll talk in about a little bit. Like we mentioned, there's OAuth providers. So if you just want sign in with Google, you don't even have to set anything up for that. You're just bringing in your ID. Next thing you know, like that's the easiest possible way to get up and running with this in no time. Rate limiting is just a couple of properties when you're configuring your auth. You want a rate limit? You can add a rate limit. Rate limit enabled. True. Done. Bingo, bango. Like, man, it's like we know exactly what you want with Auth and what you do with Auth, and we're just going to make it do everything for you. Again, session management can be enabled, and if you have session management, you can choose how long those sessions are, and again, it generates the database schemas and everything for you. You're not having to ever write a database schema with this thing, which I've written a ton of those for Auth, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, and there's CAPTCHA integration, which is key as well, because I was thinking about like looking at the rate limiting. I was like, yeah, rate limiting is one part of it. You don't want people hitting your sign up endpoints too often, but then there's also, you have to throw a CAPTCHA in there when people are trying to sign in. There's
even like update user functions and stuff like that, which yes, delete user, update user.
Very refreshing.
It's very refreshing. And I'm just like, so many times when you see things like this, there's a lot of big promises made and under-delivered. This thing is flown so far under the radar to me that by the time I'm seeing it, it is a full grown-ass man of a package. It is got everything in here. Social sign-ons, you could sign in with Roblox if you want to sign in with Roblox. You can do that. Let's sign in with any of this stuff. Hugging Face or any of these things. The database integration, it works with MySQL, SQLite, Postgres. It has adapters for Drizzle, Prisma, MongoDB, everything. I'm telling you, when I got this up and running with D1, it was as simple as just using the SQLite adapters and bingo bango. And I did it with Drizzle actually, just because Drizzle makes a lot of sense for that. So Drizzle, SQLite, D1, you're good to go. Integrations. There's integrations for all of your stuff. Astro, Remix, Nux, Svelte. Like, who wrote all this code? This is so much stuff, and it's great.
Can't be known.
Yeah, it's awesome. It works with everything here. And the plugin ecosystem is wonderful. So let's talk about the plugins. And folks, this is not a paid product. This is something you can just use. This is not an advertisement. This is me just gushing about something I like. You got two-factor auth that can come with the 2FA one-time password codes, time-based 1Passwords. You can get all of that. It's a plugin. Standard username and password. You can get anonymous logins. You can do the whole phone number and send a one-time password over the phone. You want to log in like a pro, like TikTok. They got you on that one. Super nice. It is in here. Magic link auth if you're the type of person who likes to go to an email one-time password.
I freaking hate. I love and hate magic links so much.
There's a time when I like them and a time when I hate them, and it depends on the network.
When I'm just like, I don't know what my password is, send me a link. That's fine. But half the time I'm sitting there waiting, like, I don't know, 10 seconds for them to send the email, and then another 10, 15 seconds for my email to refresh. And it's just like, come on, let me in. Passkeys has been the best experience I've had ever with authentication, because it just pops up. You want to sign with the passkey, you hit the button, you scan your face or your palm or whatever you need to do, and then boom, you're in. You don't have to do all this dancing. Send me an email, let me copy this stupid code, or let me use the SMS token. I hate that as well. That seems like everybody's doing SMS right now. Yep.
So passkey in here. What is this? OneTap allows a single tap using Google's OneTap API. I've not ever heard of this. Yeah.
OneTap is Google, like, sign in with Google. When they released it, sites were like very aggressively popping it up, and it was really annoying because, like, you could just visit a random website and it'd be like, sign in with Google or sign up with Google, and you just have to hit it. It does some weird, like, it iframes in the Google thing, so it will show like your face and your icon and your email address and everything, but the site can't access that until you explicitly allow it. But that is a nice, in some cases, it can be a nice experience if you open it up properly. I think Google fixed that, though, because I haven't had that annoyance in a while.
Yeah. Even more additional features. Admin stuff. Listen to this. Admin provides a set of administrative functions for user management, allow for creating users, managing roles, banning and unbanning, and impersonating users. This is stuff that every single auth system needs to have in it, and oftentimes you're writing that yourself. I've written an impersonation system. I've written a banning and unbanning. I called it the ban hammer, and it was pretty fun to use, but like I would have rather not having to write it myself. That's for sure.
Wait, so you said there's a whole banning system?
Yes. Yes, banning and unbanning, so, impersonating, creating and managing from an admin side of things.
Wow. So is this doesn't get into like roles and access, does it?
Roles. It gets into setting roles.
Really?
Yes, setting roles. Set roles. But
whole access controls built in?
Brother, I'm telling you, this thing absolutely rules. And then MCP plugin lets you act as an OAuth provider for MCP clients if you need that. Dude, it's too much stuff in here in terms of like, it just does it all dang all. Single support, single sign-on, bearer tokens, like you said, CAPTCHA. There's a feature in here that can check for have I been pwned database to know if your password has been involved in any sort of data leaks. Multi-session, active multiple sessions across different accounts from the same browser. Man, there is just so many things. There's even a Stripe plugin. Listen to what the Stripe plugin does. Process subscription lifecycle events, so you can probably change roles based on a subscription. Like,
oh, that's a good call. You keep those in sync.
And like, yeah, man. And there's guides. The docs are great. Here, you want to use it with, or want to migrate from Supabase or Next or Clerk, you can do that. Man, I gotta say, better Auth, folks.
How does this hook up to your users? Like does this also take care of like what a user is or in creating the data? What if you have existing like users who probably can hook that up, right?
There's references on here on how to migrate from other platforms. So I would look into that because I don't know how you would migrate, like given that like the hashing algorithms and stuff depends on what this uses and what that uses. I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works.
If you store your passwords as plain text, you don't have that problem.
If you store your passwords as plain text, you don't have that problem. But what it does give you, it spits all this stuff out. Like I said, it spits out the schemas that you then use to do the migrations, or it spits out just straight up migration files for you. So again, like you tell it what you need, and it's either giving you the session table, the user table, whatever, the admin tables. It's giving you all that stuff. And then if you add features, it's giving you the migrations for those. You can use it with whatever ORM or whatever solution you're doing to manage your migrations, or you can write those by hands with the SQL files that it pumps out of here for you. So the reason I like this so much is it lives a part of your database where your data is. If you wanted to, if you want to keep your users with all your other stuff, it just lives there.
Someone, I don't think this exists, but someone needs to build this. Is there like a UI? You know how like Drizzle has Drizzle Kit, which is kind of just a UI for managing the database.
Yeah.
What I want with this is a UI for all of the user management, see active sessions, look at all the roles, assign new roles, remove roles, like the whole UI around
that.
User management and like access control and sessions and banning and unbanning. All of that that's a very complex UI. It would be really nice to have like some sort of thing you could drop in that allows you to query filter for all of this.
And it feels like that would be relatively easy given that there is all of like with the admin, the plugin here, like, you can list users with a specific query, get all those users, you can ban and you can manage those things really easily from the Auth client. So to me, that like the UI part of it would be really nice to have as just like an addition to this based on whatever you're using. People out there are probably wondering, what is the effing catch? What's the catch here?
It says they've raised $5 million. Is there a rug pull coming?
There is not a rug pulling. One thing that I really appreciate about these folks is that there is a product behind this, but the product does not take away from the open source side of things. So like, where is that product?
You can't even find it. That's good.
Yeah, which is funny because I've signed up for the. Wow, interesting. They just have this. I've signed up for it at some point to join the waitlist. So the product is a managed version, essentially like Clerk or something like that, if you don't want to add it into your stack. But it also includes all of the things that you would need like for sending email and SMS. So you're not having to bring your own email. You're not having to bring your own SMS service.
Like hook it up to Twilio or whatever.
Right. You're not having to bring all that stuff. It includes all of that. So it's just like, hey, we've given you the components. You can hook it up to your own stuff. But now, and here's one that you'll notice, a unified dashboard to manage users and user analytics. So it's giving you that analytics dashboard. And
that's what I was just talking about, that UI component.
Exactly.
That's probably would be one of their paid features.
Yes, and it looks good, and it doesn't look like something that I would be paying for because I honestly don't need this. But I am one of these 4,000 people that have joined the waitlist because I do think the product looks good, but it's not removing any of the stuff that I would actually need to want to use this. So yeah.
Or like what a lot of people do as well with Auth is you have an idea, you need to build a product.
Yeah.
You just throw a hosted Auth in there as quick as possible because you're like, I'm excited about the product. I'm not excited about like hashing JWT tokens and whatnot. Like I'm not going to spend forever on that. So you just slap that in there. So it's nice to know that you'd be able to like duck out to this thing if you needed to.
And BetterAuth folks, like the developers behind this, gosh, you guys are just, guys and gals, whoever's doing this are on it. They even have an LLMtxt of their entire docs done in Markdown for LLM consumption. So if you're the type of person who wants to just pass this into Cursor and have it available to reference, they got you on that too. So LLMs.txt is one of my new favorite things that a lot of folks are doing to give you just quickly and easily consumable documentation in text form, and they got that too. So, Dan, if you need a new Auth solution in your life that like doesn't provide a lot of pain, man, this is not an ad. Obviously, they're not making any money even yet. There's no product. But I've used it. I've been to the edge and back. I've tried it. It was great. I used it for 2 different types of auth flows, and it was easy to change between them. I'd change between them in a couple minutes, just random migration, changed some code around, saved my JWT or whatever, and now I'm in with a JWT-based auth if I want it. Docs are very nice and easily consumable. And there's just a lot of good stuff here. So I don't have any additional thoughts other than BetterAuth truly is like the thing that's made me reconsider writing my own auth, and I will be using this going forward. And I'm gonna dump the auth package that I was writing because this is like 10,000 times better and has wider coverage than anything I could possibly do by my own. So shout out to BetterAuth team.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for the explanation, Scott, and we will catch you later.
Peace.